ever found something so big, so unexpected, that you forgot you were 100 feet underwater? Well, this is the story of the biggest Puget Sound king crab I've ever seen. Welcome to Plumper Wall, a current-swept cliff in the Broughton Archipelago. Remote, wet, wild, and loaded with life. Hello adventurers, and welcome back to BC Adventures. I'm Ryan Swan, and this morning I am just outside Telegraph Cove. We are about to encounter some awesome scuba diving today. We'll be heading over to Plumper Wall. We'll see lots of different basket stars intertwined with white plumose anemones, giant Puget Sound king crabs, lots of different soft corals and sea anemones, all integrated into the reef. And at the end of the dive, we'll hit a part of the wall where it's basically a waterfall of white plumose anemones going down into the abyss. We were diving with Captain Earl and the marine detective herself, Jackie Hildering. She told us to keep our eyes open. The site was going to deliver.
This is Plumper Wall. Go in on the crack. Wall on your left. Don't go fast. Most of the life is at the beginning.
Thank you, Jackie! You have to hit this site at slack tide, or you risk getting swept into the channels. But if you time it right, you drop into something special. It was like stepping off a cliff, an underwater wall covered in life. White plumose anemones over 1 meter tall, waving like snow-white trees. All sorts of different anemones, exploding in color, like splashes of watercolor on stone. Even the rocks were alive, sponges, pink soft corals draped like silk over the reef. I've dove hundreds of dives around Vancouver Island, and this one was different. Earl and I came up to Telegraph Cove to dive with different clubs from over BC. Timing the currents here is everything. This site is famous for its life, but it's also notorious for its currents. We got our tide info from the North Island Econaut Dive Club and local knowledge from Steve Lacoste at Sun Fun Divers. Steve runs regular charters out of Port McNeill. These are his stomping grounds, so if you want to dive here, I'd highly recommend booking with Sun Fun Divers. We planned our entry for slack tide, arrived early, and got our gear ready, and waited for that moment when the current slowed and began to change direction. This was our window, and it gave us calm and gentle conditions to explore. Always do your own research when planning a dive. The ocean is unpredictable, and we don't want anyone putting themselves at risk. The basket stars at this site were crazy. We started to see 1, then 2, and then there was a whole bunch of them. They were everywhere. Down in Victoria, I don't get an opportunity to see a lot of basket stars, so I was in my glory when I came up here to Telegraph Cove, because I've never seen this many basket stars on one dive before. They were sitting on the wall, almost looking like a plant, and their arms started to move and twist and furl as they were starting to digest all of the life that was in the water around them. It felt like something was coming, something bigger. And then I saw it, a flash of orange, a ripple of movement, the biggest Puget Sound king crab I've ever seen. Only during mating season do they come up like this, and this one looked like he was a king guarding his throne. He didn't move, and he didn't need to. This was his turf. You can use its mate for reference, as you can see the different in sizes, and this demonstrates how massive this Puget Sound king crab really was. We kept drifting. The reef fell away, and suddenly we were in Jackie's Plumose waterfall.
This has an amazing wall of plumose anemones. It's like a waterfall of plumose.
Hundreds of white plumose anemones flowing like a frozen cascade, a vertical garden alive in the current. There was so many anemones in one spot. It was such a spectacle to see underwater, and we were lucky that we had good visibility where we could really see the wall kind of drift off into the distance. This white plumose anemone wall was one of the highlights of the whole trip to Telegraph Cove. It was absolutely fantastic. We ended the dive in the forest of coal kelp, blades swaying above us like underwater trees. A quiet, gentle exit from a dive we won't forget. Plumper Wall gave us everything we ever hoped for. Reefs alive with basket stars, forests of anemones, and a king crab the size of a legend. Encounters like this stick with you. They remind us of why we dive. To step in a world that doesn't follow our rules and few will ever witness. If you want to see more of these Puget Sound king crabs in action, I suggest you watch our video where we dove a shipwreck outside of Campbell River, where Puget Sound king crabs have taken over the shipwreck. You won't believe what we found there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on BC Adventures.